Take episode 22 coming your way next. Tom gets ring, lucky number 7. Trevor Bauer dupes the Mets and Mets fans and heads to LA and signs with the Dodgers for a 3-year, $103 million deal with a few opt-outs after year 1 and year 2. We're talking WandaVision a little bit later. Christian secured the bag. He got a PS5. We're going to talk about how he did it because, boy, was it a freaking process. Take's coming up next. Super Bowl 55. Bucks Chiefs 31-9 final. Yeah. First game that we saw Tom Brady win, like a Super Bowl game that Tom Brady won that wasn't a one-possession game down to the final 2 minutes. I mean, this was almost a lopsided laugher from the middle of the first quarter on. Bucks defense had a plan. Todd Bowles, Bucks DC, amazing. Mahomes was never comfortable in that pocket. Offensive line could not handle anything the Bucks defense was throwing at him. Mahomes, turf toe issue, surgery upcoming, or he had, I think, it's upcoming. Dude ran like 500 yards in scramble yards to try and move out of the pocket, find someone open. And I'm sure a lot of people have been saying this, his stat line does not look good. But he did not play poorly at all. I think that his receiving core let him down big. There was a handful of drops, a handful of miscommunications. The Superman-like throw where he's parallel to the ground somehow got off that sidearm perfect spiral, hit Darrell Williams right in the friggin' face mask. Second drive of the game, Mahomes scrambled to the left, threw one up with Kelsey and Hill. Tyreek Hill, that one hits him in the face mask. There was one, Hardman came across the line of scrimmage, kind of like a bootleg. You knew exactly where they were going. Mahomes knew that it was a blitz. Mahomes knew that he was going to need one step back and sling it. Hardman wasn't even ready for the football. So on paper, Kelsey had over 100 yards. They didn't score a touchdown. That's the crazy thing for me. And they had plenty of opportunities, and they should have scored. But again, receivers could not catch the ball. The Williams, the Hill drop and the Williams drop both should have been touchdowns. If you told me that the Chiefs weren't scoring a touchdown in that game, I would have called you crazy. But the Bucks came in, they had a great game plan, they executed it, and the Chiefs just did not adjust to what was happening. And again, there's no excuses. They came up with a flat dud on Sunday. When you don't have all-pro Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, you knew it was going to be tough from the get-go. Run game wasn't terrible. I don't think they ran the ball enough. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had over 60 yards, was very efficient. But for most of it, they were down. So really, they couldn't really do any RPO stuff. It seemed just every time Mahomes dropped back, it was 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and he gave you a twirl and had to throw it up. I said it. I like the Chiefs to win, but I said it. I said it a lot. Brady as an underdog was scary. 3.5 points. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care what the line is. Doesn't care. If you're counting him out. Again, he still's got that same chip on his shoulder that he did when he got drafted after being passed up by so many teams and being being at the bottom of his draft. And he gets number 7. And he gets it with a great group of guys. Probably one of the best casts he's had in any season he's been in the NFL. But it just goes to show you. He leaves the AFC, goes to a different conference, right? Goes to the NFC, and in year 1, gets to a Super Bowl. equals the amount of conference championships that Rodgers has, that Breeze has. And then boom, he wins it. And in year one in the NFC, has the same amount of Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. This dude just wins. And at this point, like I said, it's hard for me. I've never rooted for Tom in the sense just because as a Jets fan, Patriots, I don't want to see him win at any point. But man, watching Sunday, it's more of just, wow, we will never see this again. It's the most impressive NFL run you will ever see. I know we were talking about if Mahomes won Sunday, he would have 2, Brady would have 6, and the Chiefs, are starting to continue a dynasty. What makes me hopeful, I guess, for Mahomes and the Chiefs is that as long as Mahomes is under center for that team, they're going to be the favorites in the AFC. Going into next year for Tom, there's a handful of free agents that the Bucs have to address, and there's better teams ready for a Super Bowl in the NFC than they are in the AFC. I still think the Packers are going to be back next year. I know Rodgers is going to, as of right now, it looks like, hey, like he's coming back. That's fine. I know there's like the cryptic post-game interview with him. Rams got better. They got Matt Stafford. They're going to be competing. They're going to be a 11-12 win team with Stafford, I believe. Seahawks are always going to be in it with Russ. It's just a fact. It's what it is. Young team in the Cardinals. I think Kyler and with Hopkins, they're gonna make the playoffs. They are a playoff team. They're one of the teams that just end up down the stretch not playing well. For the AFC though, it's Kansas City and Buffalo. I mean, those are the top two. I can't even put the Ravens in their category, in the Chiefs and Bills category. I can't put the Browns there yet either. I won't put the Steelers. You saw what they did down the stretch this past season. This is going to be a very big learning experience for Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs as a whole. I think a lot of people thought that with this high-powered offense, they were going to waltz in. It's going to be a good game, but in the end, Pat Mahomes, it's Pat Mahomes. Well, in the end, it's Tom Brady, and it's Tom Brady. That's what Sunday showed you. You should never bet against this guy, ever, in your life. The dude just wins. Doesn't matter where he is now, he wins. It goes to show you that he's not a system quarterback. He can go into he's going to any system. He worked, he's got Brian Leftwich, he's got Bruce Arians, and they went in and they won 3 road games, and they won the Super Bowl at their own house, in their own house. As much as a, boring, it was still a 2-possession game for almost the entire game, but so for me, it wasn't so much like, oh, this is a snooze, this is a boring game. It was impressive as hell. It was insane to see what was just happening in front of me, that Chiefs didn't convert a third down, like at all. Their third down conversion was, I think they had maybe 1, if not any, I think. But then they got, the Bucs had guys, that no one wanted. AB, Leonard Fournette. For AB, different story. There's a reason he got cut by the Raiders, and the Patriots let go of him a few years ago when Tom was on that team. Jags thought that Fournette was done. This dude had a great playoff run at the running back position. Scored touchdowns in, I want to say every playoff game, maybe except for one. Maybe except for the Washington game. But boy, he had a great game in the Super Bowl. And that's another thing. As great as this offense, and then Gronk ended up having 2 touchdowns. Him and Brady linked up again. Something that we haven't seen with Gronk. He's been more of the blocking tight end since he got to the Bucs this season. But they get another one together, another ring. Brady won MVP, but I still think that someone on the defense should have gotten it. The best offense in football did not score a touchdown. Butker had 3 field goals. Devin White played a great game. Antoine Winfield played a great game. Murphy Bunting, another good game. This defense was so elite and so good this entire postseason. they deserve every award and every, positive pat on the back. Is a huge one of the biggest reasons why they won the Super Bowl and it went on this playoff run was this defense. And now a handful of them are going to free agency, so they got to allocate their money and try and keep this core together. As much as you got Godwin, you got Evans. I think at some point this offseason, the Bucs got to decide: do we give the money to a receiver or do we give it to one of our defensive guys? And I think for the Bucs, you got to choose a guy like, I know Winfield's a free agent after he's about to enter free agency. You got to decide that he's the person you're going to go after, then maybe giving money to Antonio, to be honest, then bringing back AB on, whether he'd be getting some like low $3 million, $5 million deal or something like that. Evans and Godwin are locked up. You got Brait. I bet you Gronk comes back. Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson. This core is fine. Then they're going to probably bring back Fournette. They got Rojo. This offense is locked in next season for almost the same exact thing. But you got to decide. You got to say, hey, Winfield's one of the best guys we got. And he's no rookie. He's got the experience now. He knows what he's got to do. It's going to be hard for them. If we're talking repeat, who has the champ? Does Brady get a championship again before Mahomes gets his second one? The whole thing is the NFC. Oh, geez. The whole thing is that the NFC is still more competitive than the AFC right now. Chiefs got to get to the Bills one more time. Bucs could get to Rodgers and Russ and Kyler and Stafford now with the Rams. And a few days before the Super Bowl, I guess the last top free agent in Major League Baseball signed, and that was Trevor Bauer. He ends up going to the Dodgers. Fresh off a World Series championship, and they get the best pitcher on the market. They sign him for 3 for 103. It's broken down. Opt out after year 1, opt out after year 2. Year 1, $40 million. I'm looking at Chris now. 1 year, $40 million.
That's ridiculous.
Year 2, $45 million. But again, for Bauer, he wanted annual average value. He wanted the AAV to be very high. Bet on himself. Won the Cy Young in last season in the shortened season. All right, so he, thinking, all right, no one's worth $40 million. I'll just tell you that right now. It's just not.
How much is a normal contract?
I mean, normal, I guess. So Garrett Cole and DeGrom are earning like 32.
Per
like
year.
DeGrom is 32, and Cole is at like 35 or 36 right now.
Wow.
But like Cole and DeGrom like have more like credible, like have done it for longer.
Okay.
Like Bauer had one season which was shortened, so he had 11 starts compared to a season where you have 30. Like a full season you have 30, and like this one shortened one you had 11. He was great, but so that's why he did the opt out. So if he repeats or doesn't next season with the Dodgers, if he has a terrible year, he gets to opt in for even more than he's going to play for next season. So you can opt in, opt out after year 1 at 40. Opt in or out at year 2 for 45. Now year 3 is $17 million. So you would think that Bauer will be with the Dodgers for at least 2 years. There's no shot that you're getting more value than 2 years for $85 million. The third year is the interesting part, is that if he does shit the bed for 2 years, you might opt in the third year at $17 million. If you think that your value is going to be dropping more than half. If not, you opt out after year 2 and you go for another contract. So this happened 2 days before the Super Bowl. This was Friday. Mets were reported to be the team that he was going to sign with. He was between the Dodgers and the Mets, and apparently the Mets thought they had a deal. A lot of people thought that they had a deal for Bauer. And the Mets, they offered 3 for 105. They offered a few million more. Just the way the contract was set up was a little different. I think it was like 37 and it was like 38 and third, or like it was like 40 and 38. And but then that third year was like double what the Dodgers. It was like in like the mid 30s. So throughout the 3 years, like you were getting really good value. But Bauer valued probably being home. He's an LA kid. I think he wanted to be with the Dodgers all along. So essentially it was the Mets for 2 for 80 and the Dodgers was 2 for 85. So he didn't want to pass up on the 5 million. So, and again, both Mets contract had opt out after year 1, year 2. The contract was structured the same exact way, and to be honest, I think Bauer used the Mets to get the same deal from the Dodgers. Because I think that's where he wanted to play all along. Now, the fucked up thing about this, and he had to apologize on Twitter with like a 6-tweet thread. Before the decision was made, his marketing and merchandise team or whatever on his website, if you signed up for it or whatever, you got a code to get a discount on the website. And and for if you were like I don't know if they knew if you were a fan or not, but the code was like LFGM, blah 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 blah. It's like let's fucking go Mets. That's like the saying, LGM, but LFGM, let's fucking go Mets. Numbers, numbers, numbers. So people are wondering, all right, is this a troll? Did this come out too early? Like, is this a sign that he's going to be with the Mets? On his website, which was a huge troll job, he had a Dodgers hat and a Met hat signed. So he put out like a signed Met hat, a signed Dodgers hat, and was like, enter to win. So you're going, okay, shit. Like who? Like what? Where's he going? But even the more fucked up thing is that when he sent the email out to the people with the code, it sent you to a direct line of merchandise of him in Mets gear.
Yo.
So, and this was early Friday. He did not make a decision yet. So you're thinking, oh, this got released early. This might be like, this probably shouldn't be out already. But it looks like he's signing with the Mets if that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So there was like a shirt that was like, because he's got a big social media, like YouTube presence. So it was him with like a GoPro, like in Citi Field, being like, "Hey, New York," or something like that.
Dude, that's all leverage.
Bunch of line, and so people bought this. People bought the merchandise. Hour later, I'm signing with the Dodgers.
That's fucked up.
And people going, "What the fuck?"
That's fucked up. That's really fucked up.
And then he apologized. He was like, "I had no idea this was happening. It was my marketing merchandise team that we." Someone made a wrong call. This shouldn't have happened. So he did all this apologizing. So, he was like, I wasn't trying to troll anyone. Take it whichever way you want to take it. With a grain of salt, take it sincerely. That shit cannot happen.
Yeah.
What's very nice, though, is that whether he knows he fucked up or this was an accident, he's donating $50,000 to, he's doing $10,000 to 5 different charities in New York. So he's doing like Boys and Girls Club, and then 4 other New York City charities that a lot of the Met players donate to. So if that's him saying, I didn't know about this, and I'm sorry, Met fans, or thinking, I totally fucked up, and let me give money to a charity to make them seem like this is my apology.
Yeah.
So that was the saga of Thursday to Friday for Bauer in finding out where he was going to. Now, as a Met fan, it sucks because the Mets offered over $100 million contracts to Bauer, to Springer, and to Realmuto. The 3 top free agents that you thought the Mets were going to get one of. They swung and missed 3 times. It sucks, and you think, all right, that's an unsuccessful offseason. They still traded for Lindor and Carrasco, and I think that was something that wasn't on the table initially going to the offseason. But it shows me that they're willing to go in and spend the money. Steve Cohen and Sandy, they offered. They gave money. Offered money to all 3 of these guys to come and play for this organization. I'm fine with them not wanting to give $25 million more to Springer if it meant trying to lock up Conforto long term. And there's other things you have to worry about extensions now. Lindor, Conforto. They just signed VR. They've been signing some good bench pieces. They got Almora. They got VR for the bench. I think they're still looking to upgrade at third base. I think they're still trying to get maybe one more rotational piece. So I think they have a few more signings that they can get done before spring training. If you think this is an unsuccessful offseason, you could be disappointed by it with what the expectations were going in, but you can't tell me this is a bad offseason. At worst, you give it a B+. At worst. Now, you can go... It's not likely, but I'm thinking you could go for Justin Turner, which I'm sure that they're... I think Turner at 36 probably wants 3 years and would probably return to LA because the Dodgers, even with Bauer, and they're like way over the luxury tax, I think Turner's probably like, all right, I'll go back to LA for 2 more, especially when we're the top team and we're favorites to win a World Series back to back. I think if the Mets get him, they're gonna have to go 3 years and probably overpay a little bit. And if that's up to you, if that's up to the Mets, if that's worth it, or do you stick with JD Davis? Here's the thing for the Mets: the DH not being universal this season is just fucking them right now. In the sense that they can't go about the free agent process like they hoped. You got to have Dom in left and Nimmo in center. That's just what it's going to be with no DH. Yeah, you need to have both of them in the lineup every day. So that's why I don't see them signing a JBJ anymore. I think they're out on Jackie Bradley Jr. Pitchers and catchers reports very soon, February 17th. Super Bowl is over. Football is over. Baseball season has begun, essentially. And I could not be more excited. 2021, we're getting a full 162. Baseball's back. It's the best time of the year. Couldn't be more happy. We are a little more than halfway through WandaVision. Episode 5 dropped this past Friday. It was another good one. Christian, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking of like the meme. It has to do with like the Muppets. And it's so weird. It's so weird. But like the 2 old guys of the Muppets that like are not, they're usually they're not like in the actual Muppets, but they're the 2 old guys that are in like the balcony and like they're talking. Yes. So like their audio is on. It's like TikTok was made, and it was like the first 2 episodes, and they're like, oh my god, like this is horrible, this is so bad, boring. And then like 3 and 4 go by. Actually it's pretty good. This is good. I really like this. And then like after episode 5, it's like we need more of this. We really need a lot more of this. Yeah. So like the storyline of entertainment of the show. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Yeah, very accurate. But here's the thing, people. Everyone shitting on episodes 1 and 2. There's something that is called establishing episodes.
Bridget.
Things have to be established before we get into the nitty gritty and to the heart and soul of the show.
Also, appreciate the meta-ness.
Exactly.
Everything about the show is television. You should expect the history of television.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've hit every nail on the head.
What do you mean?
Evan Peters.
Bang.
Also, spoiler alert, before we even talk about this, but spoiler alert, WandaVision, episode 5. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, he's back. I'm really hoping they don't make him Quicksilver. I'm assuming they will because he's back.
I just hope that she brought back Pedro for just this bit and basically brought him back as what he would have looked like in that time period.
Okay, yeah.
And like that's it.
So I watched a new Rockstars video last night. And
new Rockstars.
He was saying that it could be some multiverse stuff. One, I think they could go a few ways with it. They take Evan Peters as Quicksilver and make him Quicksilver in this universe, and thus the young X-Men of the new movies would be the cast from the X-Men movies we've been getting with Fox before. Sansa, Ty Sheridan.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Sophie Turner. Yep, all of them.
phenomenal casting, which is cool. I don't think they will do that. The new Rockstars video was saying that the last movie to take place in that X-Men universe took place in the 80s.
Right. So that's why the time periods do match.
Link up. Yeah.
Exactly.
So she took a Quicksilver from the 80s multiverse
exactly.
and brought him in.
So that's why I think that's the connection and link.
Mm.
Because people are like, well, they better not make him Quicksilver because this Quicksilver was found in his parents' basement. so okay, yeah, but
I also
I get that. So
but also I don't think that needs to. I feel like it's even more meta than just Fox Quicksilver and MCU Quicksilver.
Correct.
Because sitcoms throughout history have always done recasting.
Correct.
Fresh Prince recasts, Roseanne recast, My Wife and Kids recast, Two and a Half Men recast.
Yeah.
It happens all the time, so I think if they're not going to go that route, which I don't think they will, I think it is more of just a meta joke on the film industry as a whole.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I actually like that a lot. Well, because I think in general, people are concerned that, because of these movies, people are gonna, they're gonna recast him.
Yeah.
And
but I don't
people don't like that.
I don't think they need to bring him
back
for future stories.
There's no reason to.
Yeah.
What does that add?
Unless they do... Unless at the end of this, she does create the X-Men again. She brings mutants in which case you could make Evan Peters the new established Quicksilver, because they could have some great stories going forward with Magneto and Professor X, Magneto being their father and whatnot.
Yes.
But I think it is more just Disney owns those Fox movies now.
Right. So they they have the ability to do it.
Just to put it all under the same umbrella, which is interesting.
I mean, different. What I'm about to say is not the same, but in terms of the recasting, it's a big reason, because these movies are so big. It's a big reason why they'll never recast Black Panther. I know that we've talked about Chadwick Boseman, how it really, at the end of the day, it'd be an injustice to him to just have his character be done.
Yeah.
In general.
I'll say it's a hot take.
Yeah, no, it definitely is to be we gotta just recast Chadwick Boseman. Just recast Black Panther. It is a hot take, but I understand when you explained to me it made sense.
Yeah.
But with Marvel, it's these characters and these actors are their characters. Robert Downey Jr. will always and forever be Iron Man.
Yeah.
Chris Evans will be Captain America.
Yeah.
I think it's because of the length. And Chadwick, he was in 4 of the movies?
Yeah.
Even those 4 that spanned what?
4 years?
I would say 4 or 5 years around. I think even that time is there can't be another Black Panther. That is Chadwick.
Yeah.
So
I get it. I mean, especially because Black Panther 2 is supposed to come out in 2 years now, I want to say, maybe 2024 latest. I think that is enough time where we haven't seen the character where he could come back. I'll say it real quick, give the explanation. I get why they're not recasting Black Panther, but think of the dedication that Chadwick Boseman put into the character. He literally created a language for Wakanda. He just made Black Panther wasn't supposed to have an accent in the movie.
Okay.
He showed up on set in Civil War to the scene where his father dies.
Right, at the beginning of that, yeah.
Yeah, very beginning of the movie, they're on set. They just start talking in an African dialect. They just go for it. So that is the creation of the Wakandan language.
Right.
And then they create their own accent as well.
Gotcha.
So this man cared so much about this character to just shun his work. This might not be the correct wording, but to take everything he did to create a black Superman who is now one of, if not the biggest superheroes on the face of the planet.
Correct, yeah.
To just diminish all of that work, I think is a bit of a disservice to him and what he has done. But then on the flip
for
side,
the MCU,
yeah. But then on the flip side, or not even the MCU, just Black
just
Panther
in general, yeah, right.
Yeah, and black representation in
in
media.
in film, yeah.
Yeah. But then there's also the flip side where you don't want to destroy what he's built. So I get why they're not recasting him. But bro, take John David Washington.
Dude, I think he'd be.
Dude,
I think he'd be great.
It'd be phenomenal. It would actually be phenomenal. Superman is recast all the time. Batman is recast all the time.
Right, and right, it's different, but that's another thing. Like, I'll never consider like for our generation because I know for our parents it's kind of like it's Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
But for Christian Bale is Batman for me. Ben Affleck will never be Batman for me. But I'm saying, but like for me, like it is Christian Bale and will always be Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Doesn't like they moved on from him. Bale was like I'm done, and like they were moving away from him anyway. Right. But he was like I'm fucking done.
Yeah. I think Robert Pattinson will be.
But I'm saying, will I enjoy? Am I looking forward to Robert Pattinson being it? Absolutely. The film is going to look like it looks phenomenal already.
But you can enjoy something. You can enjoy a different representation of a character while also having the past of the character.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's a different situation with Carrie Fisher with Leia.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because there's years of that where you just can't recast that. But yeah. But to the Black Panther point, they've literally just recast Quicksilver.
Right.
They recast Red Hood. I think they could recast Black Panther. Hot takes, but
hot takes indeed. Yeah. All right. Well, going back to episode 5. Okay. Moving on from Evan Peters, I guess being kind of like the last 10 seconds of the episode. Vision knows what's going on now.
Yes.
Dude, when they both rose up, that was wild because also it goes to show you how manipulative Wanda's been. So we find out that is Vision's body. Mm-hmm. She went into the Sword headquarters, took the body. Here's where I feel like the head of Sword is a dick. And he's a bad guy. Okay. Remember when they were talking about it's Vision didn't want to be used, she went against his wishes. Yeah. If you see the cameras, he's in pieces. They're literally ripping his body apart. So I think that's a cover up on their part. Yeah. They were gonna use him to make weapons. Yeah. And I think she what's the word? Ironically saved him from that to use him in this world.
I like that.
Because he's a dick.
Oh yeah.
He's a dick. No ifs, ands, or buts. That dude's a jackass. He looks like a dickhead.
Yeah, there's definitely something fishy going on with it.
So but the whole thing is that she's so in control that she was like, "You're my husband. You're the dad of our kids. Is that not enough?" Because he obviously doesn't remember anything before being in Westview. Yeah. So she's trying to control it so much that it's Vision, this is your life now. This is you're my husband. You're a dad. That should be enough for you. When he's asking himself all these questions, who the fuck was I before all this?
What is my existence?
Right. And she's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You don't need to know. Yeah. Because she can't just be like, oh, you're dead. I'm using my powers to give you life again.
Yeah, that's funny too because the I'd say the B storyline of this episode is her children and the dog, Sparky.
Right, and how they're like, oh, you have to wait till you're 10, and they're like, yeah, we'll go up to 10, and I kind of like that. What another fucked up part is that Agnes found the fucking dog. Yeah. With her, so I think that's another.
She also brings the doghouse.
Right, that's a tidbit. But her telling the kids, I can, but I can't just bring people back to life at will. You have to learn that death is part of life.
Yeah, you have to learn to cope with this and recognize that it's real. And that B storyline is very much.
That's also just an ironic thing. It's
it's just talking to herself.
And it's well, Wanda, you're not coping with Vision's death. Yeah. You're bringing him back to life. It's a hypocritical thing. But again, this is it's It's like her talk, like you said, it's her talking to herself essentially.
Yeah, and I don't even think she realizes that she was talking to herself. It's just, I'm assuming Agnes had something to do with the dog dying.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I bet you. I feel like it could have been like a test.
Okay.
It's like, oh, if I kill, like, will she just bring it back alive? Like what's like what can trigger her, to do that? But she went more like she went the human route.
Yeah.
She went like the, you know what? The dog's dead.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally different when the situation is not your situation, when it's somebody else's situation. It's like a weird comparison, but a single person giving advice to somebody in a relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that was really good storytelling. Having the B story kind of wrap into what this entire show culminates to and what it's about.
I also like how you get an idea that Wanda 100% knows what's happening outside. Like, she dips the bubble.
Yeah.
Comes down, she's like, accent comes back. First time we've heard her accent since Ultron, since she came to the MCU.
She has it a little bit in Civil War.
Right, but like, you wouldn't even think.
Yeah.
Like by Endgame.
Yeah, it's like thick and all.
Yeah. So, and it got kind of more thick again.
Yeah.
That dude, when she got all the weapons to turn on fucker from Sword.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, what's happening? So she was like, leave me alone. Boom, 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 and just dipped.
I mean, even more so, Monica Rambeau is saying, she's like, you have to know that I was on your side. Like, you didn't kill me when you very clearly could have killed me. So she knows what she's doing.
Right.
Wanda.
Right.
I think it's safe to say that she is definitely an antagonist, if not the antagonist.
Right. What else? I feel like there was a few things in that episode that I wanted to.
I know Elizabeth Olsen came out and said recently that the end of the show is supposed to have like a
Luke Skywalker
yeah,
type return.
Yeah, some type of cameo like that. What do you think it would be?
I really don't. Here's the thing. Like, well, the cameo, is it gonna be Luke Skywalker, like, comparison in the sense someone that like has been gone and is returning, or is it gonna be a cameo like, oh, like Doctor Strange is here because Doctor Strange 2 is coming out. Like, so, it's like no, like I need to be like, holy shit. You know what I thought at first when Quicksilver opens the door? I'm not even kidding, because of what's happened in Endgame and everything. For a second, I thought it was going to be an old Chris Evans from the end of Endgame because he stayed back.
Interesting.
And like that's what he was going to look like in the 80s.
That would be kind of cool.
So at first I was like, holy shit, like that's like I was like saying on the TV, I was like, oh my god, is that Captain America? Like, did he just like show up here?
There are rumors too. There are reports coming out that he's in talks to come back to the MCU.
And he literally talked 6 months ago. A deal, like, no, it has to make sense.
Yeah.
He did not want to come back.
No.
As Captain America. And I think it might have been the pandemic, and they actually probably pitched him something that he was like, all right, this is actually going to further the character in the story.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have come back if it was bullshit. He said that. He goes, I have no interest in playing Captain America anymore. He's like, I want to do other things.
If it were Captain America, I think it would be cool. I don't necessarily.
I don't think. Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool if it were him at the end, that they would spin off into telling like fucking. Well, no, because then at the end of this, they're technically like midday. I mean, they're like nowish.
Yeah.
Because this episode took place in the 80s or the 90s.
80s.
Yeah. But I think they could do a lot with Captain America. I think they should go back and do like a fucking World War II trilogy with like fucking Dum Dugan and just like the Howling, whatever the fuck they're called, the Howling Boys or something.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think the return is for you? Because like, I'm just trying to think, like, is it a cameo of like a character that like we're gonna see down the road anyway, or is it someone from like the past?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to.
I have a few.
Like, is it Captain Marvel? Like, does she come back because of Monica? Like, But it's like, we're going to see Captain Marvel down the line again.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be that Luke Skywalker return. It's going to be, oh, hey, like, you're part of the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, you're dope.
We saw you a year ago.
Right. Like, yeah. Like,
I think it's going to be... So I could see it being Doctor Strange to set up Multiverse of Madness and also Spider-Man 3 because he's in Spider-Man 3. Low-key, I feel like it could be Patrick Stewart as Professor X.
wow. If they go with the X-Men. Yeah, if they go with the X-Men
I don't think that's going to happen. But if there was anybody from the previous Fox X-Men universe that would go back, I feel like it would be Patrick Stewart. Just money.
Bro, what if they get Hugh Jackman just for shit?
For one scene. Just to troll.
Or Ryan. Like, that's the thing. I don't see, like, I don't see Ryan Reynolds.
Absolutely not.
Right. You know, like, I think people have been talking about Deadpool. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like, he would not... Like,
has nothing to do with it.
hey, guys, what's up? It's the A. Like, he's like breaks the fourth wall for 5 seconds. He's like, all right, guys, I'm out. Yeah, I'm like, all right, wow, great show, guys. And dips.
Yeah.
Yo, if they got Hugh Jackman to walk in, say one of the worst lines from X-Men Origins, I would... Stryker sent me.
Yo, I would hate that.
Victor! That is one of my... It's a terrible movie, but I love that movie because of...
It's fun, man.
I love that movie because of Lee Schreiber as...
I respect that.
As Sabretooth.
He was supposed to come back for Logan.
Yeah. And he
for,
never...
one scene, but it never happened.
He was working with Ray Donovan.
Showtime. But yeah, if it's not Patrick Stewart, I think it will be definitely a Magneto or a Professor X type of situation. Where they will bring in the X-Men. I think they have to at this point. There's an interview with Elizabeth Olsen from Ultron where she says like the one story she's always wanted to do.
Yes, and it's basically what WandaVision is looking like.
Just like in a new way.
Yeah.
That's what the MCU is good about, is taking stories from the comics and twisting it for a new generation.
Yeah. But no, the whole thing was like, I want her to go insane. I want her to have kids and find out that they're not real.
Yeah. And
I think this is the wish that's being granted because they had the opportunity to do this.
Yeah. There's a theory. This is what I think will happen. I think she will create the mutants. There's a theory that the commercials, that the man and the woman in the commercials are her parents.
Right, because they reappear, like, the commercials every time, it's the same two.
Yeah, it's the same guy and the same woman. And there's a theory that that's, like, kind of her being indoctrinated, if this is a trap, that's what's, like, keeping her going.
Gotcha.
Or if those are her parents, I think it could be that at the end of this, she creates a real family for herself in reality with Quicksilver, with Wiccan, with Speed, her children, her father, Magneto, and her mom's dead, but...
Right.
Yeah, and there's another... They have another daughter, too. Or sister, I should say. But yeah. We'll see where it goes. Yeah. There's a lot of possibilities that could play out.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 episodes left. And essentially that's
nuts.
It's 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know? So, episode 6 is this Friday. Before we go, just quick... I'm trying to think, if that does happen, what you said, do you think Vision he goes back to being dead after this show?
I don't think Vision will be back. I think they could bring him back. I think it's very much a possibility, but I don't think Vision, the character, would want to be back. So I feel like they'll let him die.
Paul's done?
Longest running guy. Until,
Oh shit, that's fact.
Yeah, he's been in
since the first
years.
Avengers.
Yeah. No, he's been in since the first Iron Man, bro.
First Iron Man, Jarvis.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like, he was... Paul Bettany was saying, like, he was gonna, like, be done. And then he got the call. And he was like, they're like, do you want to be a voice actor? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah. Can I get $20 million?
Overall, I agree. I think Vision's character arc is complete.
Yeah.
However this plays out, like, this is obviously... They need him to move along Wanda.
Yeah.
So... I think overall, this probably will be the last we see of Vision.
That's kind of sad, though. I would love to see him going, but
Paul Bettany's been great. I mean, I think he's been one of the more underrated and underappreciated actors in the MCU.
1,000%.
People don't like. He's such a good actor. Like he's so freaking good.
Dude, his comedy in this show is phenomenal. Aside to him that we've not seen at all.
Yeah.
Throughout this 10+ years.
All right. Well, we got a really good episode on Friday to look forward to, and we will see y'all next week. Brady gets ring number 7. Bauer to the Dodgers. Baseball is around the corner. Pitchers and catchers report next week. Episode 22 of The Take. That's it.